knows what you should be doing, even though they don't know your life, your stories, your desires, your fears, your family, your obligations. I'm hoping this podcast gives you the opportunity to think about what you want, to listen to your still small voice.
Welcome and thank you for joining me this episode. So I know you've got to be wondering, what in the world is she talking about? She's going to talk about air conditioning on a podcast that is called Listening to the Still Small Voice about summer. Like, what is going on here? But I find air conditioning has always been on my mind. And that's going to sound crazy, but I think when I tell you the stories, you might understand. So I currently live in the Southeast. I grew up in the Northeast of the U.S. I am now in the Southeast of the U.S., which is not only a different climate, is sometimes a different country, but that's for another podcast. So I grew up without air conditioning. The Northeast didn't have it, at least when I grew up. My father's house, we did actually have two air conditioning units. One would go into each bedroom, my parents' or my father's, and then my own. Once the summer hit and we were allowed to turn it on like a half hour before bed, and then like sometimes my father would come in the morning and turn it off, so I would not stay in the room. But I remember a lot of summers like staying in the room as much as possible because it was cool. And then at my mother's house, which was actually up the mountain, which was in theory cooler than town where my father lived, we did not have air conditioning. And I remember there were some very, very hot nights with the windows open, with the oscillating fans and the wet washcloths, and I still didn't sleep, and it was just the way things were. When I moved to the Southeast, air conditioning is everywhere, or otherwise you don't really function. So I got very used to it. And it just became a thing that, like, in the summer, for some reason, you needed a sweater to go places. And I always thought that was kind of odd. I understand that you want to be cool and comfortable, but I found that a lot of the times during the summer, I was wearing longer pants and longer shirts because I was cold when I would go places, whereas it would be beautiful outside. So anyway, I got used to it. And when I was married, oh my gosh, 16 years ago now, we rented a house that the air conditioning stopped working. And being the people we were, that we had grown up in the Northeast, we were like, hey, we'll make it work. We had a very weird relationship with the landlord and how it all worked, and she kind of was like, I'm not going to fix it, and we also were not going to fix it, and we were like, no, we can do this. Like, we grew up north, we can survive. I think we made it a couple weeks, and then I remember a July 4th weekend, it was probably that Friday of that July 4th weekend, we caved and we went and bought an air conditioning unit for at least our bedroom. And I remember installing it with him, and I remember, like, he went and put everything away in the garage, and I remember standing there in front of that air conditioning unit with the dog kind of looking at me in front of me. Standing directly in front of it, not letting any of the air get into the room, sucking down a blue Powerade, which we'd also bought at the Lowe's hardware. Again, it was so rare that we did that. Sucking down that blue Powerade and just standing there in my sports bra, just letting the air conditioning blow on me. Like, I had caved completely. But still, over the years, I struggle with air conditioning. I struggle with it because it seems so, not false, but it makes you not pay attention to the weather. I feel like it's become such a thing that you need to be cold when you just need to be cool. And even now, I have had working air conditioning. I've got to knock on wood here somewhere, because even in the house that I'm in, I've had some struggles with it since I've been here. But sometimes it just feels like it gets too cold, that we turn it down so low that we don't realize that it's summer outside. And I try hard also to sit outside, which I'm actually doing now, which is why this recording will probably be a little bit different. You might hear the birds. My voice might not be as clear, and I'm also a little low because we spent some time working in the yard this morning, and I'm kind of exhausted. And it was hot, and it was gross, and it was disgusting. But you know what? It felt more like summer, and it was a relief to walk into the house. Of course it was, but it felt so cold, so fast, and it just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel like summer. Now, am I going to stop it? Absolutely not. I know also, in 20 some years, like colder temperatures for sleeping and yada, yada, yada. But like, there's something about being with the temperature, being with what's going on outside versus kind of fighting it and just keeping it a constant temperature that you never feel the discomfort or you never feel what is going on outside. So I have very mixed feelings about air conditioning. I'm still confused that even though it's summer, I'm usually still wearing the same clothes that I did in the fall and the winter, just without the coat. I find air conditioning to be a mixed blessing, and I feel like that's kind of a good encapsulation sometimes of summer, a mixed blessing. The heat, which means you get to go outside, and the heat, which also means that you can do 2 hours of work and then essentially sleep the rest of the day and not be outside in the rest of the beautiful weather or enjoying it. And I think that's the crux of summer, I believe. There is so many beautiful, amazing things, but there's also those, again, as I'll say it, those challenges and those things that we kind of forget. We paint it as everybody's outside and having a good time, but a lot of people aren't outside having a good time. I talked to a friend who lives in the Southwest, and when she told me in April it was already 95 degrees, I was like, wait, what? That sounds awful. So she was like, yep, we can't go outside anymore. So it's just kind of strange how we think about the heat, how we think about how to manage the heat and what we do with the heat, and how we kind of sometimes AC it away. We turn on the air conditioning, we turn on our modern conveniences, and we make it go away. And I do question the wisdom of that all the time. I think there is a time and a place, and again, I will keep using my air conditioning, but I do sometimes wonder what we lose in the summer with those air conditioners, with the way that we just keep everything the same temperature and we stay quote unquote comfortable even if we're not comfortable. Unusually for June in North Carolina right now, it has not been humid yet. Again, I should be knocking on wood. So mornings have been nice and cool in the high 60s, low 70s, and you don't get that blast of humidity the minute you open the door. Even right now while I'm recording this, I'm sitting outside at 4:30 in the afternoon in the shade. It's warm, but it's, again, not that humidity. So I know that's really when I feel like the air conditioning is needed, just so I can breathe. But for the temperature, it's a whole other thing. And I just want to bring that up because I feel like it's important. And I feel like, I'm saying this, I cannot be the only one who maybe sees what we're missing when we do turn on that air conditioner. And then also really, really likes it when it's humid and 90 degrees out. And it's been that way for 6 days and there has been no rain. I get it. Like most things, there are good and bad in moderation and at the right time. So I just wanted to drop that this week. Just the things we do in the summer that we don't even think about, that we just consider, and depending on where you are, where you just consider standard. I don't know if the Northeast now does air conditioning. I have no idea. But again, it was rare when I grew up. But here in the Southeast, you better believe everything is 60 degrees during the summer, especially if you're going indoors. So make sure you bring a sweater. If you don't know, it still kind of surprises me when I'm like, I live in a very hot climate, yet everywhere I go, I'm in long pants and a sweater, and it's July 8th, and it's 95 degrees outside. So that's all for this week. So I hope you are enjoying. This is now June, so we're getting into summer. I hope whatever it is you're doing, that you're enjoying it, and hopefully your weather is beautiful like mine. If it's not, I'm sorry. Hopefully when my weather is miserable, yours will be beautiful as well. And I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for joining me today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, I'm so glad. If you didn't, that's great too. Thanks for giving it a try. You can do all the things: subscribe, rate, review, emoji it up if you feel so called. I appreciate any feedback you have. Please reach out to me on Facebook at The Still Small Voice Whisperer.